Good afternoon. It's actually good morning. Oh my Lord. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody? How is everybody doing? This is Marcia Weeks, and you're watching the Marcia Week Show. We are coming to you live from Barbados, and there is Beryl that is trying to bury us, but we say, we won't be buried. We Beryl, stay back, stay back, Beryl. But you know what? We're going to respect Beryl. We're going to respect Beryl. Yes, we're going to speak out our declarations, but we are going to respect Beryl for sure. So let me just say real good morning to everybody. I said good afternoon at the beginning. No, it is good morning. And just I want to announce that there's no roadside parliament tonight. No, no, no. We are going to make sure that we take care of our families, that we are, making sure that we're buttoned down and everything is in order. So there's no roadside parliament, even though we were due to start at 5:30. But no, I think we need to be focused on our families at this time. And very, very important. This thing could come faster than we expected. It could come later. It could change its mind. It's nature. We cannot control nature except through, you can declare some things and you can speak aloud. I've done that before. And so I'm continuing to do that for my beloved Barbados. And I'm hoping that you are doing the same and you're keeping safe. The solemn walk that we were going to have from Hearts Gap to Hastings Rock. No, we're not doing that either. That was supposed to have started at 4:30, so we're not doing that as well. So, we are going to be focused on getting ourselves ready, both physically and spiritually. We have to prepare our minds, prepare our emotions, have our family meetings, and start to put aside your bag. So we're doing that. We've started to put aside a small little suitcase, not too big, the little carry-on with us, and figuring out where we're going to go. And that's one of the big things that you have to figure out. But let me just greet everybody before we start. Queen B, good morning. Oh God, I can't say good evening. Good morning, Queen B. Mandigo Felix, good morning. Jackie, good morning. Uh, and Junie Rock, good morning. Tyrone Blackman, good morning. Mandingo Felix is telling me about an environmental modification convention treaty of 1978. I have not never heard of that, and he's told us where we can read it. I'm not sure what it's about. He could tell us what it's about. But how is everybody keeping? How are you doing? What's happening? I wanted to come on to say to us that we need to be safe. Senator Nakhid is due to come on as well. I'm not seeing him on. So I'm just checking in on him to see if he can come on. And we always ask you to like. We know we don't have a lot of people on because we don't expect, people don't expect me on at this time. But we want to say no roadside parliament today, no solemn walk today to remember the 20 young men. We were saying 18, but in a day and a half it changed to 20. And that is so sad. That's a social issue that we're really having, a social and a spiritual issue that we are having here in Barbados. And, so I got to take up my flag today because today we are praying for ourselves. We are praying for our beloved country, Barbados. We're praying for ourselves, and we are seeking and hoping that this thing just turn away from us and it dies, because we don't want it to affect anybody else. Well, what I can do is, I'm not going to be coming on to saying anything that the Met Office isn't saying. I know we all know that the last time we heard it was a category 3. It has the potential. This is according to all the news sites to be a category 4. as it heats up over the Atlantic. If it heats up over the Atlantic, then it becomes a category 4. Is there anybody? I don't think there's anybody here who would have gone through Janet even as a child. Anybody went through Janet as a child? Anybody? Anybody went through Janet as a child? Good morning, Peter King. I want to ask you to stay safe, follow the instructions of the meteorologist. That the office comes out with various warnings and so on. It is important that we follow what we are being told. Okay, very very important for those of you are watching, and you can share and like and let somebody know that we are on. How are you preparing? How are you preparing? Anybody preparing? Who is preparing? Are we preparing? We're being told about the emergency shelters and so on, which I'm going to read those as we go along, of the emergency shelters. Yeah. Anybody anybody went through Janet? Is there anybody? I have some retirees watching. Some young ones that are always tuned in. Anybody have any Janet stories? No Janet stories. Any Janet stories that were passed on to you? Anybody? Any Janet stories? Yeah, that was a storm. Janet. Anybody has any of those stories that they want to pass on? So the last warning. This is what we are hearing. This is advisory number 14. Hurricane Beryl. A hurricane warning is in effect for Barbados. It's effective the 30th of June 2024 at 11:22 a.m. and it expires on the 1st of July at 6 a.m. So this is the actual the latest warning. This is the latest hurricane warning. All right. Hurricane Beryl continues to intensify as a category 3 hurricane. Therefore, a hurricane warning remains in effect for Barbados. The Hurricane Hunter is still investigating the system and has found storm force winds in the outer bands ahead of the system. Taking this into account, storm force winds are expected before midnight, 1st July 2024. The center of Beryl is expected to pass about 75 kilometers or 120 kilometers south of Barbados sometime early Monday morning, 1st of July. Okay, so that is the warning that just came out at 11:22. It says during the passage of Beryl, hurricane force winds, heavy rainfall with accumulations of 1 to 3 inches, which could cause flood, flash flooding. Sorry, tongue tied. Which could cause flash flooding and some serious thunderstorm activity is likely to impact the island. Additionally, marine conditions are expected to significantly deteriorate tonight. Don't go to the sea. The public is encouraged to monitor the BMS the DEM and GIS website, their respective social media pages, and the local media news network for further information of Beryl. Okay, so it's important we take it seriously. This is coming from the Meteorological Service, from the office, directly from the office, from Brian Murray. So urgency, immediate. There's a um, yes, yes, yes. So they are telling us it's a category three. Category three. So anybody ever survive a category three? As far as I know, Barbados has only had storms and not a hurricane. We've had storms. Um, yes. Loyal daughter says she has a story from Janet. Says my grandmother said when Janet was going to hit, the dog started to howl. My grandmother dogs were doing so for the entire night. Wow, to now. Okay, okay, okay. Janet was a hurricane. Janet was a hurricane. Yes. Um, anybody else have any Janet stories? Anybody with any hurricane stories? And then, how are you preparing? How are you preparing? How are you preparing? No, nobody. So many hurricanes have passed, but they've not hit the country, right? They have not. They've always done something else, and so we are hoping that that is what happened today, tonight. It is our prayer. How are you preparing, though? Do you know exactly which shelter you're going to go to? I'm on by myself today, so I can't even bring it up on the screen. But there are shelters that they are telling us about. Anybody has any shelters in that? Where are you going to go? Have you sat down with the family and gone through exactly what you're going to do? Loyal daughter said she knows her shelter, but she will stay home. Well, I'm getting that from a lot of people that they are going to stay home, and and I think the thing that is bugging a lot of persons, it's what is the it's what where the shelters are, and people are saying, so we have shelters in we have. Wow, but do we have category three shelters? We have category three shelters. I know what the category one is. Okay, so we have some shelters. So category one. What I'm not seeing is shelters. So category three. What is it? What are the shelters? This list only have them, and they're mainly schools. Now the problem with these schools, guys, is that these are the same schools that there has been a lot of discussion about protests, even from the teachers themselves, because they don't want to. They can't teach in them. Some of them, the roof is falling in, and they're not in great repair. So a lot of people are not even wanting to go into those shelters. So we need to, and it's mainly schools, right? It's mainly schools. So I'm going to do my best to try to. Wow, somebody said that the first noted death of Janet was being a man head being galvanized from his body. by the flying debris that happens in a hurricane. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I think I'm waiting for Senator Nakhid to be settled. He's on, and as soon as he's settled, then we are going to. I'm going to bring him on to let him greet the people of Barbados, and so as soon as he's settled. In the meantime, guys, I want to know from you: are you preparing? You have to also prepare mentally and spiritually for it, and I know I've been talking to you and checking my phone because I'm looking for updates. And I want to be able to give you what is accurate. Okay. It's important that you get accurate information. Now, you be my eyes and ears. What I'm seeing here, the we're being told that it's a Category 3 hurricane. But what we're seeing is the information that we're seeing is for Category 1 and 2. Am I mistaken about that? I don't see any shelters for Category 3. Am I mistaken about that? Let me hear, please. Let me hear. I think Mr. Naki is ready. Nakid is ready. Yes, I think he's ready. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Nakid. It's still morning, and it's great to see you. Great to see you, sir. It's wonderful. And you are not in Trinidad. You are not in Trinidad. Where are you? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Right.
Samakia.
I'm not hearing you.
I
We're
am
not
here in
hearing you.
your wonderful, beautiful, fantastic country of.
Can't hear. You need to turn up the volume on something, or is it me that needs to turn up my volume? It's me. It's not you. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Sister Matthew. I am here in your wonderful country of Barbados. Um, I I have met yesterday, walking around in several areas, some of the most wonderful people that I've met in my life. And yes, I am so sorry, and I want to say to all Barbadians that I wish all of us the best. I hope we get through this by the will of God. We get through this hurricane that is upon us, and we should all be our brothers and sisters keepers in this very I would say it looks like an impending disaster, natural disaster. But I think Barbados is ready, and I really pray that we all watch out for each other and help as much as we can. Anybody who is in need of water, of food, of shelter, we really should be our brothers' people in these days to come.
Thank you so much, Senator Nakid. And I know you're speaking to your family in Trinidad at this time. And how are they? They know you are here. Is it that they're worried about you at this time?
Yes, of course. They're worried about me, like all families would be worried. But I think I'm in a place, thank God, that it's sufficiently well fortified. And I hope that all people in Barbados, some who are in lesser shelter areas or shelter areas that are not so well fortified, I hope that they are able to keep safe, and that the security forces and the emergency forces are well placed and well resourced, that they can take care of all those who will be in need should the hurricane hit us hard.
Yes, yes, yes. And as Kenneth Norville is saying here, during the storm. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. Stay away from windows, skylights, and glass doors, because as they were saying with the Hurricane Janet, and which I'm trying to find something on it online, just to read for the people and not finding it, but that is one hurricane that we actually had, which is Hurricane Janet, and quite we had Hurricane Janet was September 21st, that occurred, right? September 22nd in 1955, and it passed south of Barbados, as this one is doing, winds of over 110 miles per hour. And it destroyed 8,100 small homes, and 20,000 people were homeless. And yeah, that is the history of that Hurricane Janet that destroyed homes, 8,100 homes, and left 20,000 people homeless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's always we always go through these near misses, for Barbados, because of where how we are located. So yeah, but we any kind of information that you have, and you can put the source of the information, you can go ahead and put it up on the screen, hoping that you're taking care of what you need to take care of there in your homes that you're preparing. Let me see, Senator Nakhid is back.
I'm back.
Yes, wonderful. I know the Wi-Fi might be giving you a little trouble there.
Yes, yes, it is.
So
But I
I'm
can hear you. I can hear you very clearly.
Yes, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know you're also on the phone, trying to make some arrangements as well. But what do you say to Barbados? There is a saying that is here on my screen that says Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is actually an African proverb, or it's an African word that means I am because we are. I am because we are. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, Senator Nakid. Ever heard of this African saying?
Of course, of course. It's Ubuntu is a word that has been used among the revolutionaries and among Africans in general to signify solidarity with each other. So we say Ubuntu, and it has varying meanings. There's a varied meanings to that depending on the context. So Ubuntu in our context now, faced with a natural disaster, is that the more we are together, then we exist. We exist through our solidarity,
Yes.
and that's what I would imagine. And we also say Ubuntu when we talk about solidarity with each other to fight against injustice, to
Mm-hmm.
fight against government repression, to fight against any kind of oppression, whether it be the apartheid system in South Africa or the Zionist apartheid system in Palestine, or any oppression from any government in any country. We say
Mm-hmm.
Ubuntu.
Yes, and it signifies the unifying of the people.
Correct. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. And I was just coming on the live, and the person is actually in New York, but they know of an older gentleman who's normally logged on to our lives. And the person said to me, "Did anybody check on that gentleman?" And I don't think she's ever even met him. But there is that care that is going out from morning. People are checking in on each other, making sure that they're okay. And you touched on something very important when you started when we started the conversation. you said that where you are right now, you're in Barbados. So Senator Nakhid is in Barbados at present. And he was saying that where he is pretty secure, but there are people whose homes are not as secure. And Senator, I thought that there are some houses that are hurricane proof. Those are more affluent persons. They have those kinds of homes, and sometimes it's them alone that live there, or it could be a husband and wife, or and a child. But the point is, my belief is that we have to check on the neighbors, which is the Ubuntu. We check on the neighbors to see if they're okay. And I would go as far as saying that if you can use your home to help your neighbors as a shelter for the one night, that is something to you could consider. What are your thoughts about that, Senator Nakhid?
Well, wouldn't that be ideal, Marcia? Sister Marcia, that would be ideal. I think it would be terrific. But from my experience, given disasters, um, I think it will be few and far between affluent people, whether in Barbados or Trinidad and Tobago or wherever, who would open their homes. Now, I'm not saying it would not be done, but
Yeah,
I'm saying that it would be an ideal situation because I passed through some of the so-called poor and working class neighborhoods of Barbados yesterday in
yes,
order to see those neighborhoods, and I I am sure that many of those houses, given
yeah,
how they given how they were built, I am very sure that we could have, should we be hit frontally by this hurricane, there would be massive destruction.
hmm,
Now, the same would be for Trinidad and Tobago, and it's listen, this could be a metaphor for or microcosm of how things are in reality. That the poor working class people are usually the people that suffer the most should there be a disaster, whether it be a natural disaster, a social disaster, or economic disaster. And I think, of course, the poor neighborhoods of Barbados would be the neighborhoods that would suffer the most, of course, because of the lack of infrastructure, the lack of proper buildings, and that is very clear. So anybody who believes that they have a fortified house should open their houses to the less fortunate and the most vulnerable people right now in Barbados.
it is something that I've been thinking about, and one of the things that we are starting to do around us. We have neighbors. You have neighbors, direct neighbors on each side of you, on your right and your left. The big question is, have you checked on those neighbors? Did you go next door? Did you go on either side of you? At least start there. And then you have some across the road from you. Some might be in the very back, like in my situation. At least you go out, even if it's four persons, that those immediate neighbors. And I think if we say, Senator Nakhid, everybody checks on at least your four immediate neighbors, those on your right and left, and in front and behind you. I think that if everybody does that, we may be able to save, and to be part of this Ubuntu. Yeah, let this be. They're talking about Beryl, but let's do Ubuntu. This is our Ubuntu. This is us, our I am, because we are. That you check on them. Do they have light? Do they have flashlights? Do they have supplies? Really, I think that is a game changer. And are they safe? Are they elderly people? Do you know, Senator Naki, there are quite a number of elderly persons who live by themselves, right? And I'm thinking that with the same concept, and or people with children, and then they have to go in the shelter, and these shelters are so they're not sufficient. and a lot of the shelters are schools that are in need of bad repairs. So I'm not sure how those are going to, how that is going to work. But as we've been saying, if your house is hurricane proof, then you are able to bring people in. It's just a night. The hurricane normally lasts for a night, at least to get people out of our arm's way. So what do you think about that concept, of checking on at least four persons, front, behind, and your two sides?
Well, I think that concept would be the you know symbolic of what we spoke about as the Ubuntu concept is concerned, and that would be exactly it. That we and charity begins at home, and in this case, charity begins in your community. So
Yes.
we should look to make sure that our village, our community, is safe. Um, Also, the government has a role to play. I would imagine that the Office of Disaster, and we call it ODPM in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm sure there would be something equivalent, if not the same, in Barbados, where officials are geared, resourced, and prepped to ensure that they can reach the most vulnerable and the most needy people as quickly as they can should something happen.
Yes, yes, yes. And as you rightly said, Senator Nakhid, that it is the vulnerable. It is the poor people, those who are less affluent will be more vulnerable. The affluent, most times they have their homes secured. They some I tell you, in Barbados here, people have bunkers. And they can protect themselves. They can probably, check into some of these bigger hotels, and so on. Um, it is a concept that I think that we will need to really think about. If your house is secure, are you affluent enough, your house is secure, or you might, your house is secure, period. Whether you believe you're affluent or not, your house is secure, and you have room, and you can take in a couple of your neighbors. Begin to think like that, because we don't know the seriousness. Oh, it's category 3, and they're claiming, according to the US, the Barbados office says it's a category 3. The belief is that it is possible to become a 4. Are we going to be, will the shelters be enough for everybody, or will we be able to take in, and people into our homes, and really do Ubuntu? And if everybody checked on everybody, it would be, it would be great. Senator Nakid, I think you told me this already. You've never been through a hurricane.
Yes, I think you asked me. I told you I've been through a war, but never through a hurricane.
You've
And
been through a war. Which war is that? Which war did you go through?
the war that was waged on Lebanon in 2006 by the Zionist apartheid regime of Israel. In 2006, they waged a war in Lebanon where almost 5 to 6,000 civilians were killed, and we actually had to leave our home in Beirut and go north to Big Fire, and which is a mountainous region. So actually, we were refugees, my family and I, within our own country, and several, I think several 100,000 people had to do that, had to
Hmm.
leave from the south towards Beirut, from the south towards Beirut. So I've been through a war. I've seen the horrors of that, and but I've never been through a hurricane. So I am here. I'm in solidarity with my Barbadian brothers and sisters. And believe me, if there's a chance for me to help in any way, I will do that. And I'm hoping that Almighty God spares, spares this wonderful island um, a disaster or
Yeah.
anything close to it.
Yes, yes. And at the same time, I would love for you to be able to get a flight and get on out of here and be in the loving arms of your family, because I know that they must be wondering, if you're going to be safe. We are definitely praying for you and praying for everybody in Barbados. And if your family, if you're watching, we are going to do our very best that we can do to make sure that Senator Nakid is safe, that we can humanly do. The first is where he's staying, he feels secure in where he's staying. And of course, the biggest security is God. That's our security, really. But on a more physical, in the physical realms, I think where he's at, he seems pretty comfortable, and so on. So someone. Yes. Now, no, Senator Nakid, I know your Wi-Fi is going. I could hear your phone going, and you need to go and organize some things. So I'm going to let you go. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep in touch. And anytime if something changes, we'll come on once we have electricity, and continue to push this Ubuntu and encouragement. So I'm going to let you go before I wrap up and talk with the people some more. Okay? So
Well,
thank you so much.
I would like to say God's blessing and mercy on all the people of Barbados. And if I'm not in the loving arms of my family in Trinidad and Tobago, I certainly will be in the loving arms of all my brothers and sisters here in Barbados. We are all one Caribbean people.
Yeah,
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, Ubuntu. Thank you so much. God bless you. The Wi-Fi is giving him trouble. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, that's it. That's the hotel Wi-Fi. But folks, I wanna those of you who are checking if the program is still on. Um, it is not, somebody's calling, so they didn't see the live at all. So please, I'm still going to need you to share it. It's just a few of you on, but I'm still going to need you to share it, because so that everybody will know what is happening, that where there's no roadside parliament today, and no solemn walk to remember the 20 young men slain by violence, and a new date will be announced. But most importantly, I'm on to say to us that it is important to prepare, it is important to share. Check on four persons at a minimum: your neighbor to your right, your neighbor to your left, the neighbor in front and behind. You check your neighbors, and if everybody check at least four persons, I believe we could be covered. We would cover everybody in Barbados, because unless you're homeless, people live somewhere. So just put on something, put on your slippers, and go and call on the neighbors and check on them if they're okay, what it is that they need. And if you have a structure that is stronger than their structure, and you can help them by inviting in them in your home and have Ubuntu. Let there be Ubuntu in your home. That would be so wonderful, and it's a great way of changing Barbados, right? If we could get that Ubuntu going. In fact, Pedro Eiffel sent me something, and I was trying to get it up, but I don't have any my technical persons with me today. Dave is they're very busy helping and around their homes and making sure everything is fixed. Okay. Um, and Pedro Eiffel wrote something, and I thought it would be great to read it. And this is what I think it comes down to. He said two good things about hurricanes: people put more faith in the source, and people are more willing to assist others. So people put more faith in the source. He means God, or our source. And people are more willing to assist others. If this mindset works for us against high winds and heavy rain, which come from the source, I'm sure this mindset could work for us against man-made rules and policies that are not in line with God, with the source. As Brother Bob Sands, seems like total destruction is the only solution. Be wise, be beautiful, be safe, and have fun accordingly. So this is Pedro, and this is Pedro Eiffel. All right, telling us to be wise, be safe, and that if we can come together on this natural disaster, some of the unnatural things that's happening around us. When you think about the violence against our young men, or the crime, cybercrime bill that is seeking to shut people up and take away human rights, those are some of the things that we can rally around as well. And let this be a lesson for us. So check on your neighbor on your right, neighbor on the left, neighbor in front, neighbor behind. Go ahead and check. And if it is a case where they are not going to be able to get to the shelter, or they have they're elderly, and they might not be able to manage a shelter. It's just a plain nothing is in there. But if you have a home that is hurricane proof, and you can bring a couple of people in your house and make your house a shelter for people, so it's not just you and the cat and the dog in there, or you and your husband and the cat and the dog, or you and your husband your child and the cat and the dog. So so the shelter, the concept of shelter becomes a neighbor, and also a neighborly objective as well, where we are seeking to be neighborly, right? I think that is so important. So, guys, I'm going to sign off. I will sign off in 3 minutes, and I just in that time I just want to read. I want to read something for you. That was passed to me. It says a friend shared this note with me. It says that just a couple things that we must do. We could lose power early, the person says, and Barbados Light and Power will protect their system, but power lines may go early from the winds and fallen trees. That's a real thing. So you need to make sure you have flashlights and batteries. Okay. And remember, some of you have the solar lights. We don't know how much sun we're gonna get, so make sure you also have batteries as well. Um, Cell towers will be affected, so you're likely to lose Wi-Fi. Families should stay together. Do not venture outside. As somebody put up earlier, going outside during the hurricane is a no-no. Find somewhere inside and stay inside. Stay inside. Find a shelter. Go They have all the shelters that are listed. Find a shelter. They're usually the schools that are nearest to you. Okay. Um, Fill the washer with water and unplug it from the mains. In fact, unplug everything from the mains on Sunday night. Right? Unplug everything from the mains. Clean and fill all the garbage cans with water. Even the large one will hold about 10 gallons because you can't fill it, right? So fill all of your garbage cans with water. Get a good shower, right? On Sunday night, it may be the last one for a few days. That is so true. Locate an old pot and some papers or some wood sticks. Some of us may have to resort to yard cooking on Wednesday. It is so true. We might have to make a fire in the yard, right? And make sure you have some D or AA batteries. Your phone may be useless by Wednesday if power is not restored. Yeah, and so everybody remember those tips. And again, check on your neighbors to the right, to the left, in front, behind. Yeah. And someone also said here to turn up the thermostat on the fridge to max and reduce the door opening so that the fridge will be able to keep the meat and those things that are perishable, right? So, everybody, this is where I sign off. Make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. And I'm going to put the banner up again that there's no roadside parliament today. only with no solemn walk, and the 20 young men, that there was a solemn walk for the 20 young men slain by violence, and a new date is to be announced. Okay. All right. So, folks, this is where we sign off, and I say to you, Ubuntu. I am because we are. We're going to take care of everybody, the neighbor on the two sides, right and left, and in front and behind. We're going to look out for one another. All right, we can do it. We can do it. And I just want to pray a prayer of protection over everybody. I pray that God will protect you. I know, yes, I know there are many religions who are on here. If you don't, it doesn't apply to you, then just ignore it, spit out this part. Okay, don't worry about it. But those of you who it matters to, I pray Psalm 91 over you, and that you will be protected, you will be guided, you will be led, you will know exactly what it is that you need to do. I declare that you will come out on the other side of this hurricane alive and well, with everything intact, everything concerning you. Your animals will be well, and your, of course, anything that that is important. That is important because we can't hold on to everything, yeah. But whatever is important, go ahead. We just pray that God will go ahead of us, and will protect us. Everybody stay safe, and God bless you. Ubuntu, I am because we are. God bless. Bye bye, everybody. God bless you.